Hey ho everyone, and welcome to this manager interview with one of the managers of the Koraiders. How are you doing today, Taka?
I'm good. I'm good. It's nice to be on the manager interview. It's nice to talk to you. How are you?
I'm also great. I believe this is the first time for you managing for all three of you. I think you manage alongside Skimmy and Eins, it was.
Yes, yes. Eins might have experience before, but at least for me and Skimmy, we've definitely managed Uber's related tours, like like India tours, but we've never done like an official Uber's tour. So we're excited to see how this folds.
Yeah, so could you tell us a bit about you three managers as players? What you're maybe best known for?
Yeah. So I guess I can just start off with myself. I'm Taka, and I'm mostly known for SV. I started playing in SV. I've been entirely focused on SV Ubers and like more offensive teams. And we have a widespread of knowledge between the three of us. Skimmy is experienced between ORS to SV, so he brings a lot of knowledge there. He's quite strong at ORS specifically. Eins has a good spread of knowledge in earlier gens, as well as some of those later gens that we all play. So I guess we're one of those teams that leans a lot more on the more modern side of things. I mean, as a lot of them do, but we're very focused on like the ORS to SV side, and so
Yeah.
that's something we definitely like prioritized during the draft.
Yeah, I definitely know Eins is very well has a lot of knowledge about all the different tiers, being also present in many of the analyses videos from the UPL. But yeah, it already shows that you are all great managers, seeing as you won week one. So I assume the draft and all went well for you.
Yeah, I'm pretty satisfied with our draft. Truth be told, we got a lot of players of like of great potential, great like use. We got a lot of them for quite nice prices. We just off raw numbers, we hit 37 players without really sacrificing anyone we like missing out on anyone we wanted. So I think the draft was exactly what we wanted, and we got a lot of great players, especially in the lower gens where we're kind of weaker. So I think overall our team is very balanced.
Yeah. So any players you didn't get, you planned on getting, or some you spent more on than you would have liked? Or, I mean, I suppose that's a bit of a rude question, but like, as in, you really wanted to get that player, and another team also bid high on them in that sense.
I think there are some people we did consider like especially SV wise. There's like Richard Milliplane. He's very strong as Sphere and very strong at a lot of like modernish gens. So I thought he would have been like great at just overall as like a team presence, as like a player support. So I do regret not spending more on him because I guess we had such a high budget, so we had more flexibility to buy more people. And I think that's the thing a lot of people realized during the draft. Like originally everyone was kind of limiting how much they were spending. So you had everyone cost a similar amount to what they would in like a standard draft. So I think if people were more like, or specifically if my team was more willing to put out more money, definitely could have grabbed a couple of more like super flexible players like Richard or Entro or Aberforth. But otherwise, I think honestly, I don't think we overpaid. Honestly, I feel like we could have paid more for a lot of the players we got.
Yeah. So, seeing as week one went for you, I mean, it was pretty much a sweep. FC said so himself. What's your secret there? Are you really good in the prep, or is it just really great teamwork all throughout?
I think okay, so I think one thing we definitely focused on in the draft itself was kind of synergy. Like we did focus on strong players, but we focused on people we know we kind of work well with, people we could like spend a lot more time in prep with. I think that really helped us because we have like a not only a strong team just off of players, but we have players that are more motivated to like continue their prep, play tests, just talk. And I think that kind of pushes us to be like better. So I definitely think on the prep side we went very hard. And first off, shout out to Lana. She's incredibly pivotal in all of the prep we've been doing so far, especially like the SV side. But yeah, I think that just that team synergy, that team energy is really what makes us feel so strong.
Yeah, I take it your server is also very active. I mean, with 30 players plus, I think you were the team with 37 players. It's got to be very
Yes.
active.
It actually is quite active, and I like it. It's a refreshing change of pace from some other team tours I've had where it's been slower. People just come on to just like get on, get a team, play their game, be quiet. So I think it's nicer. It's more like a friend environment.
Yeah, that's nice to hear. So, what's your take on the other teams? Are there any teams you are afraid to go up against, or some you think you're going to sweep pretty easily? I mean, there's of course also the reruns. Not too many teams, but uh, what are your thoughts on that?
So my take as like as a manager of the Koraiders is that we'd sweep every team. But just as like an outsider, I guess I would say I think the Skyman Flyers, which is Raf's Perry Thor's team, I think their SV has a lot of depth, and I think just like both of them as managers, I think are very strong. As I've teamed with them for a couple years now, but I think they have a lot of potential, and I definitely think we would have to prep harder versus them because a lot of their SV core, like Imaksu, Raf himself, Skyu, Ox, Krasa, have very unique takes on SV and even SS. It's kind of hard for us to prep for people like that because it's less about like we have to catch more widespread matchups. We have to be very cautious to not bring something with like a very clear hole that's like exploitable.
Yeah,
And I think like just a strong SV like that, plus managers and some players that are super experienced in old gens like Aberforth, MM2. I think it's going to be like a tough ride, but I'm excited for it.
all right. Any thoughts on the Mewtwo's? Those you play against them this week. I think we only have one match done in RBY, and the other 23. Oh no, no, yeah, my bad. A bit
I
confusing.
I'm not entirely sure how to rate them as like a team. Like I think they have a lot of very strong players, but I guess as someone specifically who's like more modern focused, I think I think would be favored in modern gens, and you guys are favored for the older gens. So this really sounds like it'd be a close week, and it's one of those that really prep has to be like on point. We have to get our matchups right. I mean, do you have any thoughts on this week's matchup too? Seeing as you're a Mewtwo.
Um, I mean, it's my first team tour, so I'm not too sure how things are supposed to go, but I'd say it's it's a bit of a struggle with so many different opinions on which kind of teams to build or which ones are going to be the best. But yeah, we definitely respect your players a lot, so we're putting a lot of work in to get the best out of this. And I'm also really excited to see the upcoming matches.
Glad to hear it. I am also very excited. It's going to be a fun show for sure.
Yeah. All right. Then one silly question: who are the vibe merchants of your team?
Uh, okay, so I think a lot of the chat comes from like mashing the strap, and then there there's a lot of players on our team that I drafted who are like friends of mine outside of Ubers, and I think a lot of us it there's a lot of chat, and I think I think there's a lot of yapping, honestly. So it kind of just sounds seems like a group chat, but yeah, I guess I'd say like mashing the strap. You'd put on something like Nair, Quinn, Timo. It's a very loud chat, but yeah.
All right. Any closing thoughts? Anything else you'd like to add?
I guess one thing about the format of this tour itself. Honestly, I guess I've never been a part of like a tour of this sheer size, and I think it's a very different experience. Like first off, there even just as a manager, there's so much to prep for. It's a bit overwhelming at times. Like I'm glad we have three managers, and honestly, we could use even more. It's just there's so many things we have to put efforts into. So it's like definitely a lot of work, but I think if the draft goes as you guys wanted, then in theory this is like an excellent tour, right? I think if you have a ton of people who share that same similar personality with you, similar vibe to your team tour, then I just think this is like a fantastic idea for a tour.
Yeah. Yeah, especially with so many new players also being able to grow and play alongside the already experienced players with a lot of titles to their name and getting to play and prove themselves. That's always something great.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very nice to see all the new faces too. I know that these winter tours are usually when newer players kind of get indicted into the Ubers community, kind of like take this as a stepping stone for UPL, for SCL. And so it's very nice to see all these new faces, new ideas, and it just makes for a very pleasant experience.
Yeah. All great. All set then. Thank you so much for being here today.
Of course, I enjoyed that.
And with that, bye bye.